Near the conclusion of a Cup Series race at Watkins Glen on May 10, 2026, Kyle Busch keyed his radio and requested that his team locate a physician. Not a team medic, not a trainer, and not a particular physician. Is it possible for someone to locate Bill Heisel? He's the Dr. Kindred. Please let him know that I need him after the race. I will require a shot. The audio is that. That's the precise communication. Live broadcast on FS1. Scooped up in a matter of minutes by every NASCAR account online. It sounded insignificant at the moment. On the program, Mike Joy gave an explanation. Kyle had spent the entire week battling a sinus cold. Watkins Glen is a road track with significant G-forces and elevation changes. A rapid automobile plus sinus pressure equals discomfort. He would persevere. He would be given a chance. He would be all right. He came in at number 8. His season's best outcome. Kyle Busch passed away 11 days later. His age was 41. And NASCAR has yet to reveal the cause of his death, nearly 24 hours after the news. I will take you through the final 11 days of his life, including what he did, said, and saw, as well as what nobody is discussing. Because there is a hole the size of a Coca-Cola 600 in the middle of the official narrative. Additionally, the timeline becomes increasingly bizarre the more you examine it. These are Kyle Busch's final 11 days. In retrospect, the radio call is where the clock begins to tick, so let's start there. They go bowling at the Glen 245-mile road course in upstate New York on Sunday, May 10th. Richard Childress Racing's number 8 Chevrolet is driven by Kyle Busch. In 2026, the fact that he has been performing well is news in and of itself. Due of Kyle's difficult year. In terms of points going into the race, he is ranked 24th. A two-time winner made 12 starts in the top 10. Kyle Busch's numbers are not those. These are mid-pack, start, and park numbers. Since June 2023 at Gateway, he has not won a cup race. We'll revisit that. However, something clicks at Watkins Glen. He is honest. He's speeding. He comes in 8th. Rises to 24th place in the rankings by 2 places. It's 2026's best run for him. He then switches to the radio with a few laps remaining. Is it possible for someone to locate Bill Heisel? He is the same kind of doctor. Please let him know that I need him after the race. I will require a shot. Dr. Bill Heisel is not at random. He is the director of motorsports and a medical assistant at Ortho Carolina. He has been employed by NASCAR for more than 10 years. When you need actual medical assistance at a racetrack, you call him. The urgent care attendant is not him. Drivers ask for him by name as the doctor. And following a race for a shot, Kyle calls him by name. Fox's Mike Joy, who is on the line in real time, informs the audience that Kyle has been fighting a sinus cold all week. That is exacerbated by the Watkins Glen road course. The boot, the inner loop, the S's, several high-J turns, and a 14% grade are all present. Your head will become a vice after 24 laps if it's already under a lot of stress. That was the tale then. Sin is chilly. It's a bad track. A shot is required for the driver. Let's move on. However, when you see it now, you must keep this in mind. Lennox Busch's 4th birthday fell on Sunday, May 10th. Lennox is Kyle's infant daughter and youngest. Kyle's 4-year-old was celebrating her birthday at home without him while he was on the radio requesting a doctor. He was racing for the future, the contract, the family, and the income. They act in this manner. That's life. It now hits in a different way. Kyle would say to reporters 5 days later, "I'm still not great." Last week, the cough was quite severe. He didn't truly shake it. On May 10th, however, no one is concerned. For 20 years, Kyle has been a racer. Drivers become ill. Drivers are shot. Drivers advance to the following race after finishing 8th. Kyle attended the subsequent race. May 15th, Friday. Dew Motor Speedway, often known as the Monster Mile, is a concrete 1-mile course. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The EO Save 200. The 7th Spire Motorsports Chevrolet is driven by Kyle Busch. The hood is HendrickCars.com. 200 laps on one of the schedule's hardest courses. Here's what you need know about Kyle Busch and the Truck Series if you don't follow trucks. He literally owns it. Before selling it to Spire, he owned his own truck team, Kyle Busch Motorsports. In terms of competition, no one has ever been superior. 69 victories in the series. That record might never be surpassed. The Truck Series was like a blanket to him. He would go to the trucks, win a race, and show the world what he was capable of when his Cup career got tough. And he did just that on May 15th. He began at the pole. He cleaned both stages. Of the 200 laps, he led 147 of them. He crossed the finish line 3.039 seconds ahead of Ty Majeski. At the finish line, he bowed to the spectators. It was his 69th Truck Series victory overall, his 5th at that particular circuit, and his 13th across all 3 NASCAR National Series. Additionally, it was his final victory of any kind. After that, he got out of the truck to do the post-race interview with Fox Sports' Amanda Buick. "Why does winning never get old?" she asked him. Kyle grinned. After giving it some thought, he said this: "You never know when the last one will be. Unfortunately, I am all too familiar with the Cup-related issues, but the current truck-related issues are fantastic. Even being a part of Spire Motorsports is fantastic." He continued to speak. He joked that Kyle Larson would win everything. It's nice to have another Kyle capable of doing it. He expressed gratitude to the group. He mentioned how much he loved Dover. Then he repeated it. Not during the same interview. He was asked by a reporter during a follow-up scrum how many more victories he would like to have before quitting racing. "You take whatever you can get, man," Kyle remarked. "Treasure each one because you never know when it will be the last. Believe me twice." "You never know when the last one is going to be," Kyle Busch said to the public during the same press conference 6 days prior to his passing. Let's now take a moment to be honest with one another. Drivers frequently say things like this. It's racing jargon. We're going to give it our all and take it one lap at a time, so it's the same corny class. Kyle Busch wasn't. He was secretly aware that he would pass away in 6 days on May 15th at Dover. After nearly 3 years of suffering in the Cup, he eventually won a truck race and realized that victories aren't as frequent as they once were. In context, that's all it was. However, on May 21st, context died. What's left is a 41-year-old man bowing to Amanda Buick at Dover and saying, "You never know when the last one is," and being more right than anyone in that media center could possibly have known. Kyle spoke with reporters at the track once more on Saturday, May 16th. He made the previously described remark when he was still in preparation for the Cup weekend. "I'm still not very good. Last week, the cough was quite severe." He's telling everyone he's still unwell 6 days after the Watkins Glen radio call. No one becomes alarmed. Why would they do that? Chilly sinuses. Coughs persist. May is here. There are allergies everywhere. The previous evening, he had recently won a race. The following day, he also raced. May 17th, Sunday. The Dover NASCAR All-Star Race. Kyle Busch drives Richard Childress Racing's number 8. Points are not awarded during the All-Star Race. It's a spectacle, a money race, and a display. This is the kind of event where Kyle Busch, who is quick, fierce, and prepared to destroy you for pleasure, normally shines. He did not place in the top 25. It's not a very good day. It's not a day for Kyle Busch. By his own admission, that man is still not very good. "I'm still coughing. I'm still battling whatever the sinus cold became." This is when the timeline starts to feel off, though. Brexton Busch turned 11 on Monday, May 18th. The person in the racing photo since he was a newborn is Kyle's kid. The one that Kyle has been promoting for years. He joked on Instagram that he will soon be racing his own child in NASCAR under the moniker Battle of the Bushes. Kyle shared a carousel of pictures on Instagram on May 18th. At 3 years old, Brexton was on a card. Brexton and his father in victory lane. Trophies are held by Brexton. A family at a racetrack. Samantha grinned. Lennox waved a flag with checks. "Happy birthday, Brexton," was the caption. "Your mother and I are extremely pleased of the person you are becoming. Both on and off the track, you are the greatest child. Every day, you astound us. There are no limits to what you can do if you keep doing what you're doing. I adore you, friend. That was Kyle Busch's final post on social media. He was a father enjoying his child's birthday on Tuesday, May 19th, 3 days prior to his passing. Kyle travels to Durham, North Carolina, the next day to attend Andretti Karting's grand opening. Mario is present when he brings his son. That Mario Andretti, indeed. He's telling stories to them. A man named Williams is present with his own sons. Later on, he would post on social media. We had a joint celebration on Tuesday of this week. We are all grieving his passing today. This past Tuesday, Kyle and I were with our sons, listening to Mario Andretti share interesting tales. Storytelling with Mario Andretti and the children on Tuesday. Kyle Busch visits a Concord, North Carolina, Chevrolet racing facility on Wednesday. He is there to conduct a simulator test. For him, this Wednesday is typical. He makes frequent use of this amenity. It's a regular aspect of his RCR job. Additionally, Kyle Busch stops responding at some point on Wednesday, May 20th, 24 hours after listening to Mario Andretti. He passed out during the simulator session, according to several persons with knowledge of the matter who spoke to the Associated Press. He was sent to a hospital in the Charlotte region from the Concord institution. Additional information regarding the medical emergency on Wednesday, including audio of the 911 call, was reported by TMZ. To show respect for the family, who are still less than 48 hours into this, I won't go into those details here, but you may search up those reports if you'd want. This is important for the time frame. Kyle Busch passes out on Wednesday, May 20th. Kyle Busch passes away on Thursday, May 21st. This is the point at which the quiet becomes deafening. Kyle's family posts a statement on his social media platforms early on May 21st. Kyle has experienced a severe illness resulting in hospitalization, it states in part. He will not participate in any of his planned events this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway since he is presently receiving treatment. As our family works through this, we kindly need your understanding and privacy. Kyle Busch is out 3 days before the Coca-Cola 600, the longest and most difficult race on the NASCAR schedule. RCR's Austin Hill is named as his replacement. The unified statement is released a few hours later. NASCAR, Richard Childress Racing, and family. The loss of future Hall of Famer Kyle Busch has devastated the whole NASCAR family. Kyle was a once-in-a-generation kind of talent. He was incredibly talented, ferocious, passionate, and totally invested in the sport and its supporters. Everyone is named in the statement. Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, Kurt, the Childress family, Kyle's parents, teammates, friends, and supporters. What is not named in the statement? As we sit here now, no statement has identified what killed Kyle Busch. Severe sickness. Just 2 words. That's all. No hospital, no ailment, no chronology, no medical background, and no details about how a man who won a truck race on Friday ended up dead in a hospital on Thursday. For a sport where the TV graphic during a green flag run shows the driver's heart rate. For a sport where you can look up the average lap time of Kyle Busch at Martinsville in 2015. There is a noticeable paucity of information regarding his real passing. I want to exercise caution now. I'm not saying that NASCAR is hiding stuff. I'm not claiming that a conspiracy exists. The family is let to grieve in solitude. They have the authority to decide what is released and when. They are entitled to that. It's not ours, it's their father, son, brother, and spouse. However, the story lies in the absence. Compared to what transpired in the hospital on Thursday, we know more about the radio call that took place 11 days before to his death. Compared to his cause of death, we know more about his career statistics. And the internet will fill in the blanks. The majority of speculations, TikTok videos, and Reddit discussions will be incorrect. There will be some of them who are cruel. They will all travel more quickly than whatever the family decides to share in the end. The price of the silence is that. That is the expense, whether or not the family wishes to pay for it. Updates will be provided as needed, according to the joint statement. In order to comprehend why Kyle Busch was seated in a simulator on a Wednesday in May in Concord, North Carolina, you must go back to September 2022, as that is when the final phase of his career truly began. Kyle Busch drove the number 18 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing for 15 years. Brown and yellow M&Ms with a lot of attitude on the hood. In that car, he won 56 of his 63 Cup races. In that vehicle, he won both of his titles in 2015 and 2019. Kyle Busch was number 18. The number 18 was Kyle Busch. After that, M&M Mars left NASCAR, losing $20 million annually. Joe Gibbs Racing was unable to secure a new sponsor. In order to make it work, Kyle allegedly pledged to drive less than his market worth. Through 2022, the negotiations continued to drag on. It was obvious by the summer that the driver and the team would have to part ways. The lack of funds prevented them from doing so, not because they wanted to. The announcement was made in September 2022. Joe Gibbs Racing was losing Kyle Busch. He was going to race with Richard Childress. He would be driving the number 8 Chevrolet, which had Earnhardt blood all over it and was the number Dale Earnhardt Jr. wore at the beginning of his career. It was NASCAR's largest free agent transfer in 10 years, if not more. Additionally, RCR Richard Childress Racing was a shell of what it had been during the Dale Earnhardt Sr. era, which made it controversial. It had been more than 30 years since the team had won a championship. Since Ryan Newman in 2014, no driver had finished in the top 10 in points. In 2022, they were not a premier organization. They were attempting to ascend again. Their ladder was intended to be Kyle Busch. The NASCAR garage had thoughts when the change was announced. There were many who believed Kyle was washed and chasing a final payment. He was considered by some to be the final component needed to unlock RCR. Leaving a championship organization for a squad that hadn't seen the championship 4 years was viewed by some as the worst move of his career. Kyle Busch won 3 Cup races during his first season at RCR in 2023. Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, Auto Club, and Talladega in June. After that, there were no victories in 2024, 0 in 2025, and 12 races in 2026. 2.5 years have passed without a Cup racing victory. For the driver who has won the most races in NASCAR National Series history. For a man who once won 10 Cup races in a season. For Rowdy, the most talked about topic in NASCAR media throughout 2024 and 2025 was whether Kyle made the wrong choice. It was stated by Kevin Harvick on his podcast. For The Athletic, Jeff Gluck wrote about it. Every NASCAR YouTube channel has an opinion. Was Kyle's path to the Hall of Fame ruined? Was there too much left on the table? Was a championship-caliber career lost when the M&M collapsed? He never responded to the query. He simply continued to race, turning up each week, putting the 8 on course, and searching for one more victory. His final Cup victory, at Gateway in June 2023, is now irrevocable. His final NASCAR victory, which was in a truck on May 15 at Dover, is likewise irreversible. Additionally, the man that left Joe Gibbs Racing in 2022 to pursue one more championship passed away on a Thursday in May after making 2 top 10 finishes in his previous 12 starts. The RCR maneuver, which was ranked 24th in points, was meant to be the following step. It turned out to be the final one. The meaning of that is difficult to articulate. He was successful. Up until 6 days before his death, he had one of the most successful truck careers in sports history and had won 3 Cup races. However, the man who entered RCR in 2023 with the belief that he could win a 3rd championship ran out of time before the calculations could be completed. You are not allowed to return to the 18 automobile. M&M's contract cannot be revoked. You don't realize which choices are important until you run out of options. Before becoming well known, Kyle Busch ran out on Thursday in 2001. Kurt, his elder brother, was a rising star at Rouse Racing. Kurt was in his first complete Cup season at the age of 22. A family that raced Legends cars at the Vegas Bull Ring and manufactured go-karts in the cul-de-sac, with a father named Tom and a mother named Gay, lived in Vegas. Kurt was questioned by a reporter about himself, his potential, and his potential for success. Kurt Busch also made this statement. "Do you think I can drive a race vehicle quite well? Hold out till you see my brother. He is the family's best driver." Kyle was 16. He has yet to begin his career in the Truck Series. Additionally, his older brother, the one who had really advanced to the Cup Series, was already assuring reporters that the child would surpass him. He was correct. In 2004, Kurt Busch took home the Cup title. 34 Cup races were won by him. In 2017, He won the Daytona 500. He had a fantastic career and was an excellent driver. One of the best drivers in the sport's history is Kyle Busch. Two-time champion, 63 Cup victories, 9th overall, 102 victories in the current O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, all-time record, 69 victories in the Truck Series, all-time record, and a total of 234 victories throughout the 3 National Series, more than anybody in NASCAR history. In 2001, Kurt declared to the public that his younger brother was the family's best driver. He was being honest. Kurt Busch then wrecked during qualifying at Pocono in July 2022, roughly 2 months prior to Kyle announcing his transfer to Richard Childress Racing. His Toyota's rear struck the wall first. Second, the front whirled around and struck the wall. It was a next-gen vehicle. Concerns about the vehicle's ability to absorb rear crashes had been plaguing NASCAR all year. Kurt had a severe concussion, the kind that doesn't go away. He stopped racing. He awaited a medical clearance. For full-time competitiveness, he never succeeded. Kurt Busch declared his retirement from the Cup Series in Daytona in August of 2023. He refrained from crying. He claimed that his body and father time were at odds. He suffered from arthritis. He was suffering from gout. For one poor lap at Pocono, his brain would not quit tormenting him. That news conference was attended by Kyle. As his older brother bid farewell to the sport that had brought them together, he sat in the rear of the Daytona Media Center. Kurt's career finishes in 2023. Kyle's life ends in 2026. The brothers were closer than they had ever been between those 2 dates. They had been at odds. At the 2007 All-Star race, there was a well-known one involving a $1 million prize. They had resolved the issue. Together, they had conducted interviews. Together, they had raced. Kyle wrote about racing his son Brexton in the future a few months ago, referring to it as the Battle of the Bushes. "I'm on my way," Kurt wrote underneath. In the 1990s, our dad Tom and I participated in several 3 Busch races. To put it mildly, Mom was a little anxious. 3 Shrubs. The family owned that company. Kurt, Kyle, Tom, and then Kurt and Kyle. Then it was just Brexton and Kyle. The Battle of the Bushes will soon take place. It's just Kurt now. Kurt Busch has not made any public posts regarding his brother's passing as of the release of this video. He doesn't post anything on Instagram. His former partner doesn't say anything. In 2001, he revealed to the public that his brother was the family's best driver. The man who suffered a concussion 3 years prior to his brother's hospital death has failed to find the right words. I don't hold it against him. That is beyond words. He was listed alongside Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, and Kyle's parents in the family's joint statement. We are thinking of Kurt, all of Kyle's relatives, Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, and the parents of Samantha and Kyle. The last remaining Busch in NASCAR is Kurt Busch. It was the brother who said, "Wait till you see mine." The brother was the first to lose his racing career. The brother who lived longer than the family's greatest driver. Everyone is paying tribute. For years, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle had a very tense relationship. On Thursday afternoon, Earnhardt Jr. tweeted a statement. They had a difficult life for a long time, he claimed. He claimed that Kyle was the one who made the effort to resolve it and initiated a discussion on how each of them ran their racing teams in his bus. They had just been discussing Kyle running Dale Jr.'s late model at North Wilkesboro this summer, he added. That race won't take place right now. Kyle's longtime Joe Gibbs teammate Denny Hamlin posted on Instagram, saying, "Today we mourn. We will always remember. Kyle, may you rest in peace." He referred to him as the racing equivalent of Kobe Bryant. Another champion and longtime rival Brad Keselowski wrote, "Total shock. Quite difficult to comprehend. Give your loved ones a hug." Kyle Busch's opponent in more races than he can remember, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wrote, "He gave you everything he had every single lap, and he made all of us better for it." That's the sport bidding adieu. On Sunday, the Coca-Cola 600 takes place in Charlotte. The 8th car will be driven by Austin Hill. There will be silence for a while. A tribute lap will be placed. Drivers wearing helmets will be sobbing. And since NASCAR does that, the race will continue. Kyle would have desired that. Every announcer will say it, and they will all be correct. Here's what sticks with me though. On May 10th, a 4-year-old daughter celebrated her birthday without her father because he was radioing for a doctor at a racetrack in upstate New York. On May 18th, an 11-year-old boy and his father celebrated his birthday by swimming and playing football in the backyard. He was unaware that it was the final birthday. On May 18th, Samantha, who has been married to Kyle since 2010 and has been with him since 2008, wrote on social media, "Watching you become this driven, funny, kind-hearted little man has been the greatest gift. Every day I'm so proud of you, Brex. No matter how tall you get or how fast you drive, you'll always be my baby." She lost her husband 3 days later. On a Thursday afternoon in May, an older brother who had lost his own job due to a concussion 3 years prior and had once predicted that the child would be the family's best driver sat silently. A prospective Hall of Fame path was derailed by a sponsor withdrawal, rerouted to a faltering team, frozen in place for 2.5 years without a cup victory, and concluded at Gateway in June 2023 and Dover in May 2026. Not at a championship banquet, not in Victory Lane at Daytona, but in a Charlotte hospital with 2 words for cause of death: severe illness, and a driver named Kyle Busch who told a reporter on May 15th that you never know when the last one will be turned out to be discussing more than just races. Eventually, the reason of death will be made public. The time frame, the medical history, and the toxicology. Eventually, someone will fill in the holes. That may happen tomorrow, the following week, or in a published autopsy in 6 months. On Wednesday, May 20th, we'll find out what really transpired in that Concorde simulator. However, what we already know is sufficient. A man in the cul-de-sac of Vegas who had been racing since childhood. A 2-time champion, a father, a brother, a spouse, and the driver who has won the most national series in history. In 2001, Kurt Busch claimed that the child was the family's finest driver. It was a Friday when he won his most recent race. On a Monday, he celebrated his son's birthday. On a Tuesday, he heard stories from Mario Andretti. He passed away on a Thursday after collapsing on a Wednesday. Watkins Glen to a hospital in Charlotte took 11 days. Unruly nation. The man you applauded, jeered, and donned the 18 and 8 shirts for is no longer with you. Treasure each one of them. That's what Kyle Busch said, I promise. He was also correct in that regard.